In this example, what we're going to do is we're going to convert from a spreadsheet, an Excel document, into an XML format that could be used on a test. So let's quickly have a look at the spreadsheet. So spreadsheet is something like this, where we have some columns. What we want to do is to be able to pick off some key details, such as the subject, number of questions, and then the questions themselves within a number of worksheets. We go through each one, and then we'll create a file, an XML file based on the chapter and the unit number, and we'll put it into app data. So just to show you what the output should look like when we consume the XML. Okay, so what we'll want to do is to be able to read an XML file in and actually display our test like this. So in this case, the subject is coming from here, the questions are all coming from the spreadsheet. Okay, so the code that we'll actually be using uses the Office interrupt library. In this case, we create a new Excel application if it's installed on our machine, and then we can actually open it up from a certain file. Then what we do is we go through each sheet in turn, using a for each to be able to get the sheet. And from here we can pick off the row, one row at a time from here, and we go from A to S. So if we look at our spreadsheet, this takes us from here to here. Okay, so we're going to be picking off an array of 19 elements each time. So we'll go through one at a time, and then hopefully when we hit this one here, then we'll be able to pick off the question. Okay, so we have some key things we're looking for, such as book. So we pick off the row that we're interested in. If we see book, then we can pick that one off. Then if we see questions, we take the next value, in this case which is the 5. Subject, we take the next column, and then chapter. So for chapter we read off 2 values, a 1 and a 1 here. For the next one it will be a 1 and a 2. So what we'll do is we'll use that to create our file name. So in this case we're going to put our XML file into the app data folder, and then we take the name of the spreadsheet that we're taking it from, and then we'll add on. So 11 would give us 01 and underscore, and then 01.xml is going to be the file that we're going to create. Okay, so if we go through all of these elements, if there's nothing in the first column, then we do nothing. If it's a title, then we do nothing. If not, if we go through all these, then what we'll do is we'll add our question to an array list. Okay, so this is the format that we have. We're taking our spreadsheet, we pick off the first column each time and have a look at it. So all of these ones will be processed, and then if it falls through all of those on the if, it will go to each of these lines and then pick off the question. What we want to do is to create an XML that looks like this. So in this case the word introduction is coming from here, this is coming from here, and then we can see for each question in the XML, title comes from here, Q1 comes from there, and so on. And obviously if there's nothing in the column, we don't want the tag to appear, so you can see there's nothing actually there. So let's have a look at our code to be able to do this. So probably the easiest way is to create a little batch file. So in this case I have my main website, and then I've created a console app which I can run, And then what we're going to do is that we're going to actually fill up an XML file. So let's find the one we're going to use. So here it is here. And we're going to create that automatically from the spreadsheet that we saw earlier. So let's go back to our program here. Okay, so that's the code that we looked at before. And then after this, we then open up our file name, add some of the XML in here. So there's the subject and there's the questions. And then for each question that we've added, we pick off the values and create an XML string for each question, and then we write that to the file, and at the very end we put the end tag. So let's have a look at what the format of our getXML. So this is going to pass in the row information. So title is the first thing that appears for the question, so that's the first one there. We wrap it with inside this title tag. Then we've got Q1, and then so on. So in this case, we'll build up our string to be able to be written to our file. So there's two ways that we can actually run this program. We can run it in the debugger, and what I have in here is that it takes the first argument, splits it off, and if it's an Excel spreadsheet, then it will actually create the tests for us. So just to show that working, so here is our XLS file, and what we'll do is we'll just actually erase the contents of our file in the app data, just to show that it's working okay. Okay, so that's it gone. We can save that. Now what we'll do is that we'll run our little console app. There we go. And so you can see there it's automatically detected there's been a change, and there's the file that's actually been created. The other way we can run this program, we can set it as a startup project. Then if we want to debug, obviously we want to set the argument. So and we'll use the same file again. And that sets our argument up. And then what we'll do is we'll go into the program and we'll just get it to break when it comes to here. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so here we are in the program. So we can see there's the file name coming in. And we'll just put another breakpoint in here. We would normally press F10 to move, but unfortunately the screen recorder is also firing on F10, so we'll just create a breakpoint there. Okay, so there is all the sheets that we actually have. So what we're going to do is go through each of the sheets with inside the spreadsheet, and we'll just have a look at that again. So there should be 3 main sheets that it goes through, and it'll read each one in turn. And then when it gets a sheet, then we obviously go and then we'll read each row one line at a time. So let's just run it to them. We can see here, here's the first row, it's taken book and N5 maths. So what it's going to do is fill up that variable. Then the next one is Chapter 1, Unit 1. So for this one, what I'll do is fill up our name here. So we should see it break in there. There we go. Next time. Again and again. And we can actually see there's nothing on this row. And the next one is title. And then here is the first question. So now that we have a question, we should go into here. There we go. So there's no questions in there just now, but this should add a question. And you can see what it is there. So what we'll do is we'll let it run and gather all the questions for the sheet. Gets to there. So you can see there are 7 questions here. There's the last one. And this will take us into here. We can see already the file has been changed. So we burst out each question one at a time. And then what we'll do is that we'll just have a look at building up the string. And there it is there. Okay, so that's shown how you can actually convert from your spreadsheet into a usable XML file.